Okay, so as we come down a nice tree-lined block here, I want to point out some specifics to the Audi application of CarPlay that we haven't seen in some of the other cars. Number one, the interaction with the system, it's not touch sensitive, kind of like the Mercedes was. You can't do anything here, where GM and Hyundai, that's all touch sensitive here. It's mainly through this scroll wheel here and via voice. So that's very similar to the way Mercedes and their integration. Now, I don't really have very good coverage over here, and this is a function of all being by the beach. There just isn't good coverage really anything except for Verizon. Once again, a Verizon commercial. So I really don't have a map here, and this is where you want to have access to the OEM map like Hyundai did. And if you watch the SL63 episode, Mercedes, I think, made a very odd call by not letting you access the maps when you have CarPlay connected. Here, if I go to Nav Map, by the hard button here, this toggle switch, it goes right to the Audi map, which I have to say, this is a fantastic integration, having the toggle switch and making it a hard button rather than having to go through all of this, like this thing with the unified controller. I'm just not a fan of the unified controller. But notice something. If we go back to the Apple menu, and let's say if the map was actually working, so let's say if that map, there was actually a map there, and of course I can't show it to you because there's no cell coverage, you could have, theoretically, actually more than theoretically, you could have the Google map from Audi here, and you could have the Apple CarPlay map here. So it's like dueling maps between the two. Very neat integration here. And then you could always go back to the main menu, do your text messaging like you normally would, like you've seen in other episodes. Now we can do the same thing for switching to the terrestrial radio or the satellite radio. Let's say for the sake of discussion, you don't want to listen to podcasts or music on your iPhone. Just use a toggle switch on the right side, and that takes you either to the satellite radio or terrestrial radio. Then if you want to switch back, you just go to the menu here, and then you go into the Audi UX menu, switch back to CarPlay, or just hit back, which would probably be a lot easier. Now let's put aside this integration as well as the car in general and just talk trending in terms of the industry here. It wasn't, I want to say, not but a year ago that you and I were futuring about Apple CarPlay and Android Auto in multiple cars. And really we saw it in the Ferrari. What was that? We actually shot that thing a year ago in March. So that was the first car on US soil to have Apple CarPlay. And here we are a year later, and you and I have driven now, what, a Cadillac, a Camaro, a Hyundai, actually a Hyundai with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, now this Audi and a Mercedes. So what is that, 5 or 6 manufacturers where the integration with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto is already live. It's out there, you can buy that today. Combine that with the fact, and this is a little bit behind the scenes here, this whole virtual cockpit thing that I went on and on and on about in the TT episode, this technically was not developed by Audi. It was developed in conjunction with Audi by a technology outfit based, of course, in Silicon Valley. So now let's future a bit here. It was, what, a year ago with that Ferrari, and now we've got 5 or 6 applications you and I have personally tested together. But now let's think a year from now, I think you're going to see virtually every car out there. That, like, we'll probably see the Volvo application, we'll probably see more from Ford, we'll probably see more from other European manufacturers, as well as Asian manufacturers. But I also think we'll see more of this, where you got either iOS or Android, and then some huge, like, paradigm shift in the UX from the OEM. And I can already tell you the first one's going to be in that E-Class when we drive that E-Class together. So the future, it's bright.